think we didn't get YouTube again.
There we go.
Oh, YouTube is online. What? I think that was some bad advice.
I may have given him bad
Oh,
advice.
no. I followed it because I wasn't thinking for myself.
Yes.
So, hey guys, Bill here.
I'm Lauren.
And we're from Pawfinity. We're bringing you the Scratching the Surface podcast, episode 4. I forgot the title of this one.
The 14 pieces of bad advice
Yeah.
to avoid.
Avoiding bad advice.
Yes. So we've all heard it, whether it's online. I mean, bad advice can come from anywhere.
Usually from you, it seems, when there's a pencil around that you could stick in your eye.
Don't stick pencils in your eye.
Right. Obviously, that was a bad thing to do. No web developer / people were hurt during the filming of this live stream. So, wait, you can't really film a live stream.
Well, technically, you're filming
No, you're
it live.
streaming
Oh.
the live stream.
Okay, yes.
So, but at any rate, I wasn't injured. Let's see if I have a... Oh, no. Yeah, I think Facebook is going to try to mute me again because they tried to do a YouTube and get this fancy algorithm to mute music.
Prevent,
But unfortunately, it seems to mute any music at all, even if you have the license for it. So, yeah, let's try harder, Facebook. Sorry. You have a budget
Bad
of like,
advice.
there's an unlimited budget.
Try.
Let me give good advice. Facebook, use your
Yes.
budget to do a little bit better. Okay. But anyway, let's talk about it. We don't really have anything new to talk about with Pawfinity this week. We do have some really neat stuff in development that we can share likely by the end of August. So,
Stay tuned for that.
yeah. All right.
So let's
jump
right
into it.
in. Yeah.
So let's talk about the first one.
Enforce your strict cancellation policies.
Enforce them to the letter.
Yes.
That's my bad advice number 1 for you guys. And so what do we mean by that?
So we all have cancellation policies.
Absolutely.
Completely understandable. You want to make sure that people aren't canceling last minute. If they are, you can go ahead and fill that spot.
But most are written with like this iron fist. If you cancel, we're going to take 14 pints of blood. I think you would die from that. How much? A pint is a lot.
That sounds like a lot of.
What do I mean? 14 ounces. How do they measure cc's? I don't know how they measure blood, but they're going to take a lot of blood from you and also then charge you 2 times what the appointment was.
Yeah.
So if I did that to you, what would you do in response?
I wouldn't come back.
You'd never come back.
And
so,
if you're going to send me an invoice, I'm not going to pay
Right.
it. 'Cause what are you going to do to reinforce it?
Yeah. What'll happen is a client will say, I didn't get the invoice 4 times until you finally forget or just give up. And then as
or
a business,
stop answering you.
Yeah. And then the business have no means to actually collect that money.
Yeah. So my biggest piece of advice for this, I guess, would be remember that people are human and life does happen. So with cancellations, for instance, I saw weeks ago where someone was 39 weeks pregnant and her mom was flying in. She had to pick up her mom from the airport. No one else could pick them up. She canceled last minute because she forgot,
Right.
and they charged her a cancellation fee. I mean,
Yeah, I think the baby is a little bit more
39 weeks
39,
pregnant.
you're popping. You're not thinking about anything except for your like aching
Yes.
back and stretching.
Yeah, you have a million
stuff.
things going through your head.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can tell them, hey, we have a cancellation policy, but let it slide this one time.
Yeah, of course. Well, even if you don't let it slide, of course you want to let them know. And she's being I'm all about being very strict on telling them and very lenient on actually enforcing it. So you don't want to, we understand. Let them know, hey, look, you missed this appointment. She's going to be like, oh man, I really did. And everything else. Let them know. It's my advice is a little different from yours. I think that you should let them know very strictly, hey, look, this is what the policy is. We need you to adhere to it. And then you're not actually going to charge them. I mean, you don't. Because if you do charge them, I can guarantee you that client's likely not going to come back unless it's like some sort of friend of the family but even then, I don't think you'd charge them for it. Do what you will, but I think that enforcing your strict cancellation policy will lead to you getting more clients bouncing off of your business than it will ensuring that they come back.
Now, the clients that cancel all the time, last minute,
course.
completely understandable,
But-
charge them.
But no, don't charge them.
Oh,
Get them off your schedule. I say no. I say get them off your schedule. I say anyone, and that's why in Pawfinity we have the ability to set different color flags for the different, we call them status for the clients, mark them red or mark them blacklisted and don't put them back on your schedule. Or if they are already on your schedule and you have a new client that's looking to come in, I honestly would cancel their appointment or slide it back. Keep sliding it back because that's a client that's not reliable for you.
Yeah, fill it in with somebody that would actually be a good client.
Absolutely. And so that's just our advice on that little tidbit of bad advice, because in the end, retaining the client is more important than the one missed appointment. I mean, the only argument that I could see against that is, well, I'm a mobile and I drove all the way to their house. But I mean, your expense truly at that time, $3, in gas, let's talk. I mean, because I've been there personally. I showed up at people's houses and they're not there.
Same
And
here.
yeah, I mean, so, but quantify that. Excuse me. Once again, guys, week 4 now, I'm still, living life with the COVID. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Who knows if it's COVID or not? Who
Who
cares?
knows? Yeah.
But
It's not the weather this time.
yeah, I'm just a little groggy sounding. But I'm sure it's all coming through because this mic picks up everything.
I'm
so,
sure.
But the point of being, saving that client, keeping them as a client, will earn you revenue over time. Versus saying, hey, look, you owe me, $25, the half of your groom fee or something, and then they don't come back. I mean, you lose $50 every 4 weeks forever. Or you just bite the bullet and say, hey, look, I wasted $3 driving to this appointment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, number 2.
Ooh, this one's nasty.
Yes, terminating employees without due cause.
I wish I had like I don't think I have one of those. What's this one? No, that's definitely not. I'm going to stop doing that. I think Facebook probably just muted 30 more seconds of this.
I sure hope not.
Well, that soundbite sounds like it came from...
Yeah. So terminating employees without due cause. This is a really...
Let's just get right to it. So I've heard a story of people giving the advice there was a business owner that came in somewhere on Facebook somewhere, and she was like, hey, look, I have this employee. She's pregnant. Should I fire her? Basically, I'm just going to cut to it because that's what, in the end, that's what she was saying.
She was a new employee.
And people said yes.
Yes. Okay,
so number one, family of pet pros and other business owners out there that's watching this podcast, you cannot legally do that. She can absolutely sue you without question, and she will win if you terminate an employee for anything, such as being pregnant, their race, sexual preference,
anything
their religious
like that.
beliefs, anything like that. The only way that you can terminate an employee without getting sued is because of their lack of performance on the job.
Yes.
Period.
So that's why it's really important to have a strong employee handbook, and then
Right.
if they break the rules, write them up.
Right.
I know some people are like, oh, it's
You just let it
push
pass.
wash, don't do,
You
but
can't.
write them up because then you
Right.
have a reason to fire them.
Yeah, and collect your reasons. And I've had to do this, and when I worked in corporate retail, I've had to do this. And you might have an employee that you like; they're they're a nice person, but we're not talking about whether you like them or not. We're talking about their performance on the job.
performance.
So stay legal. And if they do something, an indiscretion that goes against whatever it was you defined when you gave them the job, you write them up, you write it down, you keep a date and time, and that gives you a log. You collect 2 of those. The next one is terminatable in most states and provinces. So even if you don't want to terminate them, you have the opportunity to do so at the next indiscretion. So not that everybody gets fired. 3 strikes you're out. Iron fist, just like number 1.
But you can.
But you could if you needed to. And so if you found out that employee was, we see people trying to delete appointments from the calendar and then take those appointments at home, stealing stuff from the business, and employers don't really want to terminate on that, but you could if you kept a log. So terminating employees without due cause. Whew.
So what you could do if you find out an employee is pregnant and you need to make a reasonable accommodation for them in the business. Find something else that they can do. Maybe they won't be able to groom 120-pound dogs anymore, but there might be other stuff.
They can answer the phone.
Yes.
So again, this goes to ADA compliance and stuff like that. If you have pregnancy isn't considered a disability per se, but it's a condition that you can still work as long as you're accommodated. And so with that, you have to make that accommodation. Absolutely not. This one is appalling to me. Anybody that said, yes, terminate this pregnant employee, come on.
Yeah,
come on, guys. I can't even, there's no way that I could color that any better. So next one, number 3 on the list, no need for office time.
Yep.
What is office time, Lauren?
It's like basically like an hour or so, whatever you define, at the end of your day to do all the loose ends, to make the phone calls back, run your sales report, balance your drawer, things
that you
like
missed.
that.
Anything you missed, kind of.
And as a business owner, you always have office time. That's
part
of being a business owner and not just an employee.
Yes.
You have office time.
Yes. That's the best way you could have described it, because everyone says I can run a business. I can do what my boss does, and that's what I call the assistant manager syndrome. And I've seen it again through corporate retail. It's super prominent, and in privately owned businesses it exists just as well. And the reason people think that is because they don't really know what it takes to do the whole job of the owner
Absolutely.
or manager, and that's the absolute truth.
There's
And
a lot more than what you see.
absolutely. And so when you go and you branch off as a groomer or a trainer or anything, you start your own business and you just try to work it as an employee, we find that there's a lot. Well, honestly, I never realized that because we've never actually had a conversation about this, but that's likely what a lot of the friction is with the people that want completely hands-off businesses. They were used to the owner taking care of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
don't
a
know
good
why
point.
that just hit me just now.
Absolutely. But I mean, when you
yeah.
are an owner, there is things that you have to do.
Right.
So you
Make
make
time.
that office hour at the
Yep.
end of your day. If you don't want it to start at 6 o'clock, cut your hour short in the day.
The biggest excuse I hear like almost every day is I'm mobile. I don't have time for phone calls. Well, there's a few ways that you don't need to make those phone calls, but
Yeah.
there's just saying I just don't want to take phone calls isn't going to do it.
Yeah,
So we'll talk about that kind of stuff in another one. But I mean, office time is absolutely necessary. Take the hour to do, the maintenance on your business. That's like
Yeah. And it might not always take an hour.
like-
It might just take 15 to 20 minutes, but
it's like scrubbing your feet
it's needed. Yeah.
in the shower.
It's not something that you always want to do, but
who
it's
really
needed.
wants to bend all the way down there to clean your feet when you're in the shower
Exactly.
or the bathtub? You got to pull it all the way up here to reach it, But if
you
you don't
need
do
to.
that, excuse me, if you don't do that, things are going to get real nasty. This is the same thing, but that's office time.
is.
It's scrubbing your feet for your business.
Yes, absolutely. Great analogy.
Number 4.
Text only is more efficient.
Oof. Can it be?
It can be. However, you take away a whole part of your business. So if you're text only, you take away being that personable person.
Well, let's go right
You know
straight.
what I mean?
I agree with you 100%. Let's go right straight to the bigger part. Text
It's a service business.
only. And when we say that, it's a lot of people are picturing just like on their phone. So let's go there. How fast can I type with these two jammies right here? I mean, Lauren, I've seen her use her phone. I'd say she's like a fruit ninja.
The
She's like,
swipey thing.
I don't do that stuff. So
I love it.
the swipey thing is still cool, but I mean, how long does it take to? Now, if you're using Pawfinity and you're talking with the clients through the system itself, you can actually type it up on a regular keyboard. So how much faster can I type with all these fingers
versus
these two? And the answer is very obvious, and it's completely objective. No one can say any different. This is faster than this, unless you don't really know how to type with all your fingers. But even still, I know most people can type with like at least these two. They just kind of walk around the screen like little crab pinchers
Yes.
or around the keyboard, and that's fine. But that's still twice as many as you get on the phone. So that's the one part that I wanted to make. But you could go ahead with your.
Yeah, I mean, it takes away. It's a service business. You want to have that personal connection with your clients. We just talked about this a few weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, and when you go to text only, it might be more convenient for you to just text them back really quick in between doing things. However, you take away that personability with that client.
Correct.
And that means they're not going to be super, they're not going to have that
There's
like
no
friendship.
buy-in.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the relationship is just letters on the
They could
screen.
be
I mean
really
it's
flighty. Absolutely.
pretty flat.
But I mean, you can build that by having your office hour at the end of the day and handling these type
Bam.
of calls or doing online booking, things like that.
Yep, she did that. She just tied number 3 into number 4. Awesome job. So the number 5, also this one again makes me shudder.
Yes.
All software is the same. Just pick the one you like. And when people say that, they usually mean the one that looks like something you like. If you don't like square edges on the buttons, pick the one with the round edges. I'm going to let you go first.
That is so far from the truth.
It's definitely not.
I mean, it's not
Let's
all
just
the
start
same.
with the performance and stuff.
I
They're
mean,
all
from
different.
the ground up, yeah. And I mean, you might have a few that are built off the same framework, which
So they
is
look
why
the same.
it feels the same.
Yeah, let's give a benefit of the doubt with that
But-
comment. Somebody says all software is the same. Maybe they tried 2 or 3 of the software that's out there that is literally built off the same framework, the prepackaged code that all they did was change and put their logo at the top and add a couple buttons. And sometimes they change colors just a little bit, but you can see it's the same structure. And so that is kind of true, but it's absolutely not true across the board. So,
Not even a
for
little.
example, Pawfinity is completely built from the ground up as what it is. It wasn't based off frameworks. 100% of it is different from everybody else, and that's why we are faster, and that's why we do get better grades on the security tests than every single software that's on the market. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, Bill. Ooh, that was really, yeah, it
But
does.
it's true.
But it is true. And so this is frustrating from a point of, when they're communicating ignorance with the bad advice, that all software is the same. Well, that's 100% not the truth. And
Yeah.
a few years ago, I was going to actually set up something where we could run an open challenge against all the softwares to show us, like prove it. Like people make claims, we're the fastest, we're the most secure, we have the most features. Prove it without a doubt by showing your,
Yeah.
like taking
Which we
the.
did several years ago.
Oh,
You did a
yeah.
comparison.
Well, there was a ABC Pet software company. What was the name we were going to use? ABC Pet Software reached out to me.
Barco or
The
something.
VP of their huge corporation reached out to me with a really nasty message because they said that we painted their software in a bad light. So I never did that again. But I rebutted with saying that we just communicated the actual results of the tests.
And
So
it was, yeah. So
and he wasn't happy with the results of the test of his software, so that's why he got so frustrated.
yeah,
But that was back in 2016 or
that was a
15.
while ago.
That's been a long time.
But I mean, all software is not the same.
Right.
They don't have the same security or performance. They don't all go down with updates.
Oh my goodness gracious. We hear this all the time. So there's a specific
Software
company.
crashes.
There's a company out there. I don't know how to disguise their name, so I'm going to leave it out. They have a lot of cute GIF images and little graphics on their software. They launched a couple years. What's it been? 4 years now. They've been up. Yeah. So anyway, and since then they've had outage after outage after outage, data loss. It's just like complete missing weeks of the appointment schedule. And they even claimed that we hacked them one time and took them offline for what was it, like 10 hours or a whole
They
day.
were down for an entire day.
Yeah. So the software does not crash all the time. It should not be crashing all the time. And if you're with a company that has it crashing all the time, then you need to switch to a new software. Anyway, the point of getting back to why I brought them up is their clients that use them have gotten so used to it crashing that it goes offline, and they're just like, okay. They get their schedule emailed to them, and that's okay. But that's, guys, you deserve better than that. And there are systems that don't go offline. So,
Absolutely. Well-built systems from developers that know exactly what they're doing.
Right.
You don't have software that crashes all the time. You don't have data loss. Like that is not a common thing with software.
Absolutely. And it's not just us, guys. It's not just us. There are other companies that can keep their software online without problems.
Absolutely.
So, just pick one that, if you're not using Pawfinity already, pick one that can stay online.
Doesn't go
it's
offline.
like this is literally like saying
give you excuses
that would be like
going offline.
It's taking your dog to a trainer that doesn't know how to work a leash or something. Like he can't hold the lead. Like how do you do your job without being like the whole thing about training at the beginning at least is the lead work and the tension and then the lack of tension that you have on the lead. If you can't do that, then you can't train a dog. Period.
Yeah, so the same thing goes with software.
I mean, if you can't stay online, what's your what? Okay, I'm going to stop there. All right, number 6.
Appointment reminders are unnecessary.
Whew. All right, you want me to?
So I could go on forever about
I think
this.
that goes. We should have put that to number 7 because it goes with the paper one pretty well. But anyway, appointment reminders are definitely necessary. I mean, they help people stay on track. Is it the only way that the client knows about their appointment? No, it shouldn't be. They should have it on something on their device or on their wall. If you have a calendar,
but every single service that I go to, anywhere from my doctor to like beauty services, they all send a reminder. And I understand people will say, "Oh, we're adults; they should know their schedule." However,
as adults, you're busy.
Very busy. That's exactly what I was going to say.
You're busy. I mean, cut to the chase. You're busy.
So, I mean, a reminder it's important. It's important to any business.
Right.
And even if you don't want to sit and make the calls, there are systems out there like Pawfinity that sends out automated reminders. You have to do nothing. Just schedule the appointment.
Right.
So
absolutely.
It's a necessity.
It goes without saying. I mean, appointment reminders, like should people be able to remember their appointments? Yes, of course they should. They're adults and nothing else is happening in their world besides the service that you're offering and when that appointment happens. But I'll tell you what, the first time the kid falls off a bike or their mom shows up at the airport and they're 39 weeks pregnant. I mean, that's the end, isn't it? That 39 is right. I mean, you're ready to
40
go.
weeks
You should be. If you're not over,
I think both my pregnancies went 39 weeks.
Yeah, that's
so
the end of it. So.
But I mean, for instance, I have 2 kids.
You're not thinking about your dog grooming appointment at 39. No. I don't care if your mom's at the airport or not. You're not thinking about that.
I have 2 kids. They're both in swim class. I have to look up almost every week. I have to log into like the swim dashboard to see what time their swim class is because I always forget. And I know it's a certain day, but
every week.
What time is it?
Right.
So it happens.
Okay, the big one, number 7, stick with paper because paper doesn't crash.
That is true. Paper doesn't crash. However, there's a lot of other things that can go wrong with paper. It can get wet. You can lose your cards.
A dog chews it up.
Finally, yes.
Was I out of the mic there? I was taking a drink.
Yes.
A dog chews it up.
Absolutely.
It catches on fire.
Just gets misplaced, or
Okay.
gets misfiled, and then you never find it again.
We'll come back. We'll keep talking, but don't let me forget to reference number 7 again when we talk about something with the mobile stuff down below. I can't remember where that went.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, yes, paper doesn't crash. That is true. But there are still things that can go wrong with paper.
Tremendously wrong. And I mean, once you start filling out the paper with all the scratches and everything else, you could use a pencil and erase. But now, I mean, how long did it take you to write that information in? And then how long does it take you to look up information about the client after you've gotten done like writing it in? And so while paper doesn't crash, it's extremely inefficient. Ooh, I could feel, the people watching this. I use paper. I'm just listening to you guys to see if you have any information.
This would be a really good episode in itself.
We will talk about that in its whole, but so we'll loop back to number 6. Appointment reminders aren't, they're unnecessary. I could feel like that is going to be an argument from people that are using paper because they don't have reminders. I mean, are they going to sit there at
manually do it?
Well, they use their entire office hour
sending out reminders. Yeah. Yeah, that's
again,
never fun.
because they're sending it out. How are you getting it via text? I mean, are you sending it via email? If so,
you still have to write an email to each client because each client has a different time.
You can start cooking on the keyboard. Don't get me wrong. You can really start moving, but your efficiency has dropped in the toilet at that point. I mean,
not as quick as doing nothing.
Right, doing nothing. I mean, okay. So you have a lot of work to do to send your reminders manually, or you don't. I mean, that's
and it's automated. I mean, so.
And you won't forget because you don't have to do stuff. All right, let's move on. That was a good point. I like that.
Force your clients into your schedule whenever you want.
The forced schedule. This seems to be a trend, and I think that not you guys, but you guys that are doing it.
I think they're learning it in classes.
At the trade shows. Okay, one thing to blow up the trade show organizations, they will let anybody, it seems, do a class. Let me rewind. I'm going to say that one more time. They will let anyone teach a class generally at these trade shows. So the information that you're getting, it
may not always be the best.
It may not be good. I mean, obviously our information, you guys could say, "Oh, this is bad info." That's fine.
We're not charging you for these.
We're not charging you, and this is free. Like this is our donation to you guys. And we're talking from a position of having conversations with thousands and thousands of business owners all across the world, and learning from them, and including our own experiences.
And we're not saying that all of them have bad information. That's absolutely not what we're saying.
Correct.
However,
but they could.
All the information might not be the best.
And we have some stuff down here talking about that. But anyway, so that one of those pieces of information might be force your clients into your schedule whenever you want or need them to be. So your clients might say that they don't mind. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, put me in a 4-hour block like the plumber does.
Yeah.
But they do mind because they have things that they need to do.
I mean, it's mildly inconvenient. I mean, imagine you just want to go down for a nap. You don't know when your client's
or you want to go grab some lunch because you forgot to go grocery shopping that next day.
Yeah.
And it's the time block is between like 1 and 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, not 1.
That would be convenient.
I'm sorry, 8 a.m. to like 2 p.m. You don't have any lunch to eat. You really want to leave and you can't leave because you're stuck. So,
and if you do leave, then you'll get hit with that cancellation fee.
Cancellation fee because you weren't there. So you're creating an environment for the client that's not really pleasant.
Yeah.
So then the most common rebuttal to that is, my clients just leave me their key, but do they want to? So many won't want to leave you access to their home while they're away.
Yeah, and some people do require it.
So
some clients may be okay with it, but I would never.
But let's paint this picture. So back in like the mid 2000s when I had my business, things were different then. You weren't texting everybody then. You were calling people. There was a lot of communication between people, and you got to know the clients. So let's go all the way back up to the text-only businesses. So text-only, you've never had a communication with this client before. You only service their pet when they're not home. We went into houses in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in an area called the Grand Dunes, where the average home price is in the $1.5 to $2 million range.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk into these houses and they have like these huge like marble column things on the inside. You gotta like look up 3 stories. And
would you want to leave your key to someone you've never actually had a conversation
it's like
with?
A Maserati in the garage. The key is sitting right there on the counter.
Yeah.
It's like, would that person want to leave someone the key that they've never met before? The answer to me, no. There's no way in hell that I would be doing that. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Even if you service my dog for several years, if I've never had like personal conversations with you. I'm not going to do it. I don't even leave my front door open when I
Right.
have people servicing outside the house.
Right. You
Like,
lock
it's
the door
just,
back up because you want to know when they come back in the house.
yeah.
So, and to drive that point even further, though, is this next one. If they knew you were storing security codes and gate codes, and the hidden key locations on your software or on your paper book, which is even worse. Well, it might not be even worse. Some of these softwares are so insecure that are out there. Their security levels are so low that it's probably worse being on the software than
Like
the paper book.
literally zero. We've run several that are zero.
Zero on out of 100. So anyway, if they knew that you were storing those gate codes and ADT or whatever security key, pin codes,
Probably wouldn't be very happy.
they would not be happy because if you have more than one employee, everybody can see that generally. And if they don't, I mean, who's to say? Like we've seen some horror stories of employees that have either quit or gotten fired from businesses, and they do these crazy things. Now you have someone that is maybe or maybe not like stable with access to people's houses. They know where their hidden key is. They know how to get into their house and shut off the alarm. So forcing your clients into that schedule, saying that, okay, I'll just show up whenever I can on this big window, leave me your key. It creates an environment for
A mildly uncomfortable situation.
extremely uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Arrival windows are fine, but short arrival windows.
Absolutely. So yeah,
An
so you can
hour.
get there. But also, if you have an every 4 week schedule and someone falls out of that, you can't like just dismiss them as a client.
Yeah.
Because people, again, life happens. Things change. And we went, what was that? The recession proof episode? Was that last week or 2 weeks ago?
It was 2
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
We talked about that. Like, accommodate them. They're a client. It costs you more money to go out and find a new one than it would to retain that
'em. Yep.
existing one. All right, so moving on.
So that kind of ties into our next one, hyper optimize your mobile services.
Holy moly, nothing really frustrates me more than the trade show classes where the mobile grooming guru stands up in front of the room and tells everyone that they can cut their travel time down to 2 seconds per appointment.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you talk first because I'll probably ramble on about this one.
Yeah. So the thing you have to keep in mind with being a mobile groomer, I mean, I did mobile as well. You have to travel. It is a part of your business. Can you optimize your route? Absolutely. So you're not driving 20 minutes in between appointments.
Correct, right.
But trying to keep everything within a mile of each other, it might not be right.
It might not, especially when you combine it with like a every 4 week schedule. I mean,
only on Tuesdays because I'm only in there Tuesday. And it starts to get a little bit uncomfortable for the client. So, I mean, just try to accommodate them a little bit.
Absolutely. And so what it does too, I mean, there's side effects. That's why I let you talk first because I was going to attack this in a different way, and your way is much better. It's just it's one of the most frustrating things because these software companies are selling you guys things because they need to. I mean, they need to make money off of you, so they're trying to give you this problem. I mean, the story's as old as time. They give you a problem and then they solve it, but the problem may or may not have actually existed. So that's different from addressing a problem that really is there and then helping to solve that, which is, in my opinion, just better business. But when you limit your schedule down, if you're not looking to grow your business, then you could do every 4 weeks, start to slowly, this takes time. And, they make it sound like you could just instantly, boom, you're on a perfect schedule. Slowly move all the clients in the same neighborhood to the same day. If they can go, if they can't, then that's fine. You drive a little bit and then crush it down. But that's only going to help you if you're not trying to grow your business. And I don't know anybody that should be not trying to grow their business.
Yeah.
Because if you start losing clients,
then you need some more clients to fill in.
Right. But if you've been telling people for the last 5 years that you're not accepting new clients, then nobody's coming to you. They're going everywhere else.
That's true. Yes.
And so hyper optimization is one of the most frustrating topics because it gives the clients the perspective that if I drive more than 5 minutes, I've failed as a mobile service provider.
It's literally in the name, mobile. You drive.
You drive. And that's it.
Yeah, you can optimize, but hyper optimize is
Hyper-optimize means that you're taking every single appointment, scrutinizing how your driving distance between every single appointment and making sure that they're all compact and all down to the minimum tiny little. I mean, come on, guys. Is it really worth it? Because you're spending so much time doing that you could be spending time actually servicing those clients. You're losing money by the stresses that you're putting on yourself to try to hyper-optimize. But then software company comes in, I can save your day. The point is they're saving the day of something that doesn't really matter in the first place.
That's true. They cause a problem and then give you a solution.
Yeah, well, the amount of money, the amount of time that it costs to drive between appointments and the amount of gas that you're spending
minuscule.
It's tiny, and we're going to talk about this in a mobile grooming episode. We'll get into details about exactly what I mean by that. But there are a few aspects of the businesses, the mobile model, which is something I have a lot of experience personally, firsthand, not through third parties and everything else.
I once knew a guy that owned a mobile business.
I think right. Oh, that's every software
invested.
that's been opening for the last. I literally someone else
Yes.
popped up on the radar the other day, and I looked at it and they said, "Well, we had a dog." And so
So
we
essentially,
built,
we're
and my
mobile
husband was
groomers.
a web developer, so we built a software. Like, what? But there was a rumor though. Let's address that right now. Bad advice or bad information. There was a rumor that I had nothing to do with grooming. I knew nothing about grooming. I never worked in a mobile business, but that's all false, people. Like I've owned 2 grooming businesses, started a third just before I left Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I've been doing this a while. So anyway, hyper optimization. Don't worry about it too much. Get them as close as you can, and then deal with
work
it.
with that, yeah.
I mean, just drive. Like the drive is actually a break for me. I know for me, as soon as I close up everything, put the table down, get all the doors, sit down.
It's like a de-stressor. It's a way to reset before your next appointment.
That's your break. Like, dude, I
Enjoy
wouldn't
it.
want it any tighter than that. I mean, what are you going to do? Just sit idling?
That was my food break. I mean,
You
don't
take
know about
that
you, but I
break,
would do like a snack, and it would it just resets you. Yeah.
Absolutely. You could go grab like a drink, water, soda, coffee.
Sonic slushy, something like that.
Yeah, not wine, beer. That would not be a good idea.
That's after your 5 o'clock appointment.
Yeah. Wait, but anyway, that's your break in between. If anything, that gives you time to get a breather. Sitting statically for 15 minutes trying to take a break isn't quite as much fun as driving down the road, seeing stuff, looking at cars, getting the sun and
Enjoying the parts of being mobile.
so don't hyper optimize at the cost of your sanity and the business
Your
quality.
client's sanity too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Business quality is a better way.
Move away. We could talk more about that in the mobile episode.
Absolutely. Of number 10, avoid the cost of payment processing through free apps.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so at this face value, that sounds great.
It does.
I can. What are those ones? I don't deal with those so much, but which one?
Like Zelle, Venmo.
Venmo is
Cash App, I think, is
Cash
another
App.
one.
Venmo is like a real popular one because they don't charge this and that. But
There's no payment processing fee.
however, if they find out you're doing it,
They can take your money.
yeah, so they take your money away. Okay,
Is
so
it
number
worth
one,
it?
now you're gambling. But number two, how professional is it to walk up to your client and say, "Hey, do you have Venmo? Oh, can you download it? Oh, can you add your bank account? Oh, can you add a card to that? Okay, now can you pay me?" No, or you just have payment processing built into your software, and you just take the card.
If you don't want to take the
card.
hit on the percentage, then just add it to your service price.
Yes, you can always add it in, but
Do that. But it's the cost of doing business.
Absolutely.
It's like when we were discussing this right before we started, it's like saying, I don't want to pay for electricity, so I'm going to go light a bunch of
light
candles.
some candles before I start grooming.
Why would you do that?
So let's pause on that.
Does
Let's
it
pause
save
on
you
that.
money?
That
Sure. Is it worth it?
no.
No.
No, it doesn't make any sense. So this goes to hyper optimization, and there are things that you can save on and places where you can be efficient. And then there's going crazy about it. And, I've had these conversations with clients that are having breakdowns, literally. I mean, some of them are literally in tears talking about like trying to solve these problems. And then, we throw them just this little piece of information. Hey, look, does that problem need to be solved? And all of a sudden they're like,
Yeah.
wait a second, what am I doing?
Maybe not.
Like,
Yeah.
no, if you ignore it, what is your cost? $2? Okay, well, if it's causing you this much stress and you're only saving $2, let it go. So the cost of payment processing, in order to have all these free apps and be collecting payment from all these other places and then hope that all of them are sending that money to your bank account. I mean, some of them I imagine you have to manually take the money out, like Venmo and all that stuff.
You have to manually send them. Yeah. You have to
It's just like PayPal. I mean, you don't, it's not automatically withdrawn. So when you have a professional payment processing account, that money just comes into your bank account. So it flows straight through your business and right into your personal or business bank account.
But go ahead.
So let's just work down this list. Inconvenient for clients. It's unprofessional, no question. If I try to take payment, do you have a Venmo account? Do you have a PayPal account? Hang on a second here. Are you an official business? Do you have insurance? Like
$120 for a groom, and you're asking me if I have a
a
Venmo.
Venmo account. Yeah. So it just doesn't look good. And payment processing fees are tax deductible in most
Yes,
areas.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. I mean, so what's the problem there? It's a tax deduction. Pay it.
It is literally the cost of doing business.
Absolutely. And so you use that. A lot of people stress out about payment processors and rates, and saving like 0.25%, becomes a big deal to people.
Yes.
But in the end, after you throw it into your taxes, who cares?
But one of the biggest things is that you actually, and I'm sure people that have used payment processing, you'll see an increase in your tips when you include a payment processor, because how easy is it for them to just add a tip?
Well, on Pawfinity, it's pretty easy.
I
I don't
mean,
know about everywhere else, but you
I
just
mean,
hand them
but
the screen, they add a
they
20% tip.
choose, yeah, and they
Mhm.
just choose it and they add it on, and you'll likely get more. I know in my business, when I had credit card
Oh,
processing,
yeah.
I had more tips when I include the credit card processing versus somebody that just had cash. Like, you're stuck with whatever you have in your wallet.
But I don't think you can tip on something like Venmo. I know you can on
No, you just
PayPal.
have to add it to the
Right,
total
they'd
when
add
you
it to the
send them
total.
over the
But
amount.
then now you have a bookkeeping nightmare because you don't know how much, like, why did you take this money?
Yeah.
And again, we didn't even address that in the list, but the bookkeeping end of things, you know exactly how much you get. In Pawfinity, you have a transaction with a gratuity on it. You'll know how
You'll
much was
see.
for the transaction, how much the gratuity was, and then your reports will run up and be perfect. But I mean, if you start sending that over to Venmo and trying to balance, like, okay, I transferred this much from that one and this much from that one,
Yeah.
again, how much is that worth for how much of your sanity and how much of your office time are you willing to give up in order to avoid payment processing fees? I mean, it's a convenience for the business, if anything, and it's more
hmm
professional and convenient for the client.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a win-win.
And I mean, I've heard people say, I pay all this, but you're paying that, which means that your sales are likely a lot higher. It's only anywhere from 2.5 to 3%.
Right.
Your sales are
Yeah. I
high.
mean, if you have $1,000 a month in payment processing, you shouldn't be
Yeah.
crying about.
Don't look at the payment processing
No.
fees. Look at your
Look
grand
at your
total that you're
gross.
pulling in.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
this one is a big topic for us as well. Using professional products is not necessary.
Not necessary.
What do we mean by professional products?
So
The biggest offender.
the biggest offender, I'll jump right into that, Dawn. It's a huge controversy among groomers. Do you use Dawn for fleas and things like that?
No,
There are professional products
you
out
don't.
there that are safer.
You didn't
for
say the no
dogs.
part.
Don't
Do
do
you?
it.
Your client is relying on you to be a professional and use the proper tools for the service that you're providing.
Yes,
They pay you for this.
Yep. You're charging for that. So, can you use Dawn? Yes. Is it going to affect the dog right when you put it on them? No. But Dawn will strip everything, including the good oils, off their skin, which could lead to dry and itchy skin afterwards.
It doesn't sound like much until you have a really, really anxious Labrador who starts itching at it
And
and
then
itching at it
continues
and itching
continues.
at it. And then now he starts cutting himself, and now it turns into a sore, and now it turns into a big wound. And he's trying to lick it, and now that gets infected.
Just pay the little extra and use the professional product.
Yeah, and the
If
Dawn
you-
is also, the pH of the Dawn is not proper for the pet's skin. And so what's the biggest? So I'm going to be against on this one. So I use Dawn, it works just fine. They used it on the pets
Yep.
in the oil spills back in the
Yep.
Exxon Valdez
when
oil
they
spill.
had no other choice, the pets would have not made it.
Your pet does not have motor oil, crude oil, which is thick. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's not like the cool stuff you pour into your engine. It's thick.
Yeah.
They don't have crude oil on them.
All of them.
And they're not about to die if you don't get it off of them. So, yes, they used it on ducks in the oil spills. Your
Which
dog
dog's
is not a
not an oil
duck.
spill?
Neither is the cat. Neither is a bunny. Oh, we have people that
So-
groom bunnies.
Yeah, they do.
And
Yeah.
none of these pets are ducks about to die because they're covered in crude oil. Your clients are paying you a ridiculous amount of money these days
Yeah,
to
use
groom
a
their pets.
specific flea and tick shampoo to help
Absolutely.
them.
And so that's our thing. Professional products are not needed. However, if you're giving someone like a Newfoundland, a $30 bath,
that's
okay.
different.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
If you're
the only
giving
reason I'm
them a
saying that is
discount-
because that bath should be like $150 because that would take forever.
Yeah.
But if you're
If your
using
client's charging for it, they're bringing it to a professional.
Right.
Use professional products.
use professional products, that's a very simple one.
Yeah.
You don't need a website. So number 12, you don't need a website. Your social media will do.
My Facebook does everything a website does.
Absolutely not. And so number one, and people are like, number one, social media is not crawled by the search engines. And most, if not all of your new leads are going to come through something like Google. It's become so prominent in people's lives that they say, oh, we'll just Google it. It's become a verb.
Yes.
They don't say Facebook it. They don't, nobody goes on Facebook and searches pet groomers. As far as I know, by looking at internet trends, 90% of the traffic is coming through Google with another, like 10% coming through Bing. And they're going to find you through your website, which if it's professionally designed and SEO'd and it's ready for the internet. If you have a good site, which is important, don't just have a website, have a good site, hire somebody that knows what they're doing.
Check out our episode 1, small
Yeah.
business websites.
Yeah, small business
we have a whole
websites.
bunch of info there.
But, they're going to come through that. You're going to hear, so viewer, if you're looking for something new, Do you go on Facebook and search for it, or do you hop on Google or Bing, or, well, I use DuckDuckGo, but
Yeah, search engines.
you hop on the search engine, period. That's it. That's where you go. Yeah, I need to find my AC shut off. I need to find a HVAC person. I type HVAC,
Yep.
Raleigh, and there we go. That's my list. I
Yeah.
don't go to Facebook and start looking through. That's just not how it works.
Well,
So
you're limiting your client base too. You're limiting it to the only Facebook users because if you don't have a Facebook account or you're not logged in some way that Facebook can tie you to
right.
that search, they won't let you see anything until you log in.
Well, even more than that, though, Facebook's algorithm gets in the way of what you see. So now you
That
have an
too.
interference in the way, and they're only going to show you the results that they want you to see on top of that, even if you are logged in. So,
Yeah.
remove social media from the thing. If you would like to have a website to grow your business, then it's necessary.
Yeah. Have
And-
social media as like a secondary,
Absolutely.
not as a primary.
Absolutely. And the website gives you a way to control your media and make it look the way you want it to look, without being confined to whatever Facebook allows you to do,
Yeah.
and they show whatever posts they want to the people that are visiting. And that's the other thing. Visitors to your social media pages, they see what the algorithm of that company
Wants them to
wants
see.
them to see, not what you're wanting them to see. You might make a post today that never even shows up on half of your visitors'
Oh, yeah.
streams, and that's not good. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's
Ah,
move on because
this one.
this is running long
I
today.
love this.
Oh.
Trust me, I'm a tech pro. I can build your website or pick your software.
Holy moly. So we get on to social media. We get a lot of people that are very interested in earning a living through doing almost nothing, it seems, but they claim themselves to be tech pros. And again, jump back to our episode 1 where we talk about,
Yeah.
we talk a lot about that, but this is a topic in itself. But did we pull up that sample site?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
So today I ran across a sample site and it was a chat flow. So it looked like it was a website that looked like one big chat bubble. And then it said, what would you like? And then I would click on, let's say, like the about page. And then it would put all the content that would be typically on an about page into these little individual chat bubbles.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
And I mean, it was awful as a user because then I had to scroll through everything and read it. And it wasn't as easy to read as if you're looking on a website.
So
It wasn't.
The reason that we're telling you guys this is because that Pet Pro, they actually paid someone to do that.
Yes.
And whoever it was that they paid, their web designer, web developer, they did them a disservice. They gave them something that is completely ineffective.
Yeah, I told him it'd be great. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why that wouldn't work out. Like, you can't SEO that. You can't. I mean, when I had picked something, I couldn't choose a different topic after that. So I was stuck with that one topic.
Okay. Well, let's roll on to the next one. What's the next? Because this is running real long.
Okay, yeah. Try tying a bunch of free apps together. So when you are tying Google Calendar with Excel, with QuickBooks, with any other thing together, you are wasting so much time versus having everything all together in one. You're saving yourself, what, $50 a month? Is it worth it, though? Having to go click around all these other apps and making sure everything ties together, having this workflow that you hope ties together perfectly, it's not worth saving what would cost less than the price of one small dog groom. Again, it's a cost of doing business, having something that helps you efficiently run your business. That kind of ties in with generic booking software as well that have something pet specific. Otherwise, you'll be searching all over the place for certain information that you don't want to be searching for. And then the whole thing with consultants. So we've had a number of consultants come in. I'm helping my client find a software, and I'm also building the website. They don't ask the right questions. Can I see a demo? Well, that's something as a business owner, that's something you can do. You can look at a demo yourself. You can see what it does for your business and what features they offer that would be good for you. What your tech consultant should be doing is asking about security or their performance, uptime history. I don't think we've ever had, I don't know about you, but I've never had one tech consultant ask any of those questions to me. So what is the point of having a tech consultant look at software when they can pull together the same information that you can look at yourself?
Okay. Now, this company that I pulled up this site. Now, again, this has nothing to do with the company. It's no reflection of you guys, if you are watching. However, I'm extremely adamant that you should connect with your web developer or whoever it was that helped you set this up. This is the example of what I'm talking about here. So it becomes a chat box. If we click the About Us, this starts running this chat down the screen, and it's extremely disturbing to watch. Not only can I not read the content that's coming down, but all of this, so I mean, whenever it finally stops, I can go back. Hopefully, I can go back. I don't see a scroll bar. I can't go back to the top. Okay, so this is one of those examples, and again, this company. If you guys want some help, I'm all in. Just contact me, and I'll help you out, get this sorted. But none of this is SEO. This website will not bring any traffic to you, and it just looks like a result of either bad advice given to this pet pro, or maybe a lack of contacting a professional to get more information about like how to make a website effective. As that was flashing down the screen, I mean, I couldn't read anything, and I get to the bottom, and I didn't realize I couldn't scroll back to the top.
Unless you have a mouse with a scroll thing in it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, no scroll bar is not cute. So be very careful with the bad advice given to you by people on social media and in person about their skills as a technologist. If they make a lot of claims, you want to make sure that they can back it up, show examples of things, and then maybe consult with your software people and ask, does this look good? I've had many clients, ask me hey, is this a good price? Or have a look at my site. Did they do a good job? And I'll tell them honestly, because there's why would we, let's go back to cutting through the BS. Like, there's no point in BSing anybody about this. Like, if it's not good and it won't be effective, then why do it?
Absolutely.
All right. And
that kind of ties into our number 14, peer product reviews. So we'll touch a whole entire episode on this, but
this is basically asking for advice on social media, and that's totally fine. However, this entire episode is based around bad advice.
Just take caution with it.
And not even that, it's force them to prove themselves. You make a comment, back it up with something, show us something quantifiable.
Yeah.
Like, what software do you like? Or what's the best grooming table? Or this and that. Everybody's just going to spit out what they have. That's just how that goes.
Or what they don't have. I mean, I've seen fake profiles made by software companies spitting out their own software. So just take caution. Make sure that what you're reading is real information.
How do you make sure? Ask them for evidence.
Ask them for evidence.
Yeah. So when you're asking for advice, loop back. Get evidence with that. Why do you feel that way? Oh, well, because it's cute. Or, oh, well, because that's what I have. Well, all of those have no value to anyone. So be careful with your peer product reviews and make sure that they are in some way vetted or.
Yeah. Anyone making false claims, this company XYZ did this. Well, show me why did they do that?
Absolutely.
Why did that happen?
Let's address these two questions, and then we're going to cut this one off here.
What do you mean they take your money?
I'm not sure what that question is.
It's probably about the payment processing.
That was about 15 minutes ago now.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm not sure how to address those questions.
But I don't have those apps. I'm guessing that's about payment processing too, like the Zelle and Cash App clients asking, do you take Zelle? Do you take Cash App? So that's what I'm assuming that second question's about. But I mean, as a professional business, you shouldn't
just get payment processing. It's really that easy. The cost of it, everyone. Oh well, if I add up to 2.5% over my whole month, that's $250 on a mobile business. Let's say. Okay, well, all that $250 gets deducted from your taxes.
That's the price of doing business.
In the end, just price accordingly. If you need that 2.5%, raise your prices 2.5%. But you can store cards on payment processors. You can. Yeah, about the Zelle and Cash.
Okay.
Yeah, they take your money. I don't remember saying that.
I don't remember what context we had said.
Oh, they take your money. That's right. The comment about if you get caught.
Yes.
Yeah, that was on Venmo.
Yeah, I think it's
they put a hold on your
Venmo or Zelle or one of them. They put a hold on your funds.
Hold your funds so you can't withdraw them.
And once they do their investigation, I think then they charge you that payment processing fee and a fee on top of that.
Right.
I could be wrong.
No, it's an additional.
But
it's
it's
just not worth it. I mean, what's the point? So then they hold, let's say, $1,000 of yours for 30 days.
Yeah.
The cost of that money being held was phenomenally high.
Yes.
Or you just take payment processing. You could store cards on
for
file.
Anyway.
I mean, it's so much easier. I mean, because you can run it straight through your software and, just for everybody. And like with Puffinity, you store your card on file. And if you're a mobile business or a salon, even when you go through the process, you have your client already in the POS. You could just choose one of the stored cards, and that's it. The client doesn't have to.
Easy.
There's no tap. There's no swipe. There's no any of that stuff. It becomes very much more efficient.
Or having pay with online booking. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways, but you don't.
Yeah.
Taking Cash App and Venmo.
It just seems It seems obtuse. It seems to add too much to the business. That's all. But
It's not
I
worth
really
risking
appreciate
it.
I appreciate the feedback. Having the
Yeah.
conversation. We get a lot more views after this goes live because I guess it's not a good time for everyone. It's still only 8 o'clock on the West Coast,
Yeah.
and some of our clients are almost to midnight now. So, all right, guys. Well, that just about wraps it up for our bad advice episode. This was fun. I got a little stressed out because we're gonna get judged about a lot of the things we said here, but that's
It's
what the
just-
conversation's for.
Yeah, it's information that has been brought to us that we've seen, and it's just like you take a step back and you're like,
Yeah.
no.
Absolutely. I mean, you hear the things about like firing a pregnant woman. It's like,
No.
I mean, like, where is your soul,
Anyone that's
people?
telling
No,
you to do
come
that
on.
is either wants to see you go
Right.
down, or they don't know what they're saying either, and you just don't give out that kind of information because
No.
that could have a bunch
my-
of really bad
yeah.
repercussions.
Yeah, well, if they start screenshotting that and then send it to the the government and stuff, oh, they're coming for me. All right,
All right,
I'm
well,
gonna sparkle something. You did a good job. I'm gonna. Oh no, that's not. Where's the sparkle?
you did a
There we
good
go.
job on
Sparkle
Simon.
it, sparkle it, sparkle it, sparkle it. Okay. All right, guys.
Well,
See
join
us next week.
Monday at
Monday at
10
10.
a.m. Eastern.
All right. Oh, I'm supposed to come up with that. Here we go.